Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we take a look at the impact of pre-symptomatic coronavirus spread as Kentucky sees more than 400 new cases in one single day. And we keep hearing about the importance of contact tracing to slow the spread of COVID-19. But how exactly does it work? Well, we asked the experts.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 6:02 on this Thursday, July the 9th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning in to Mountain News this morning. Well, I've said it twice this morning, and Brandon's probably said it multiple times, but yesterday was warm, but today is no match to what it saw, is a match actually to what it saw yesterday. Let's bring Brandon in, who will give us a breakdown of just what to expect and probably when's the best time to crank up the air conditioning and head inside. Brandon, good morning.
Morning, Will, and I think you and I are both on the struggle bus today, so that's okay. We'll get through this together. It is going to be a warm day, warmer than yesterday, and basically keep the AC on all day because it's muggy even this morning. Temperatures running from 64 in Somerset to basically 72 in Jackson and Logan. We lost a couple of degrees there in Moorhead the last couple of minutes, so we're going to continue to see those high dew points as well. When the dew point is closer to the air temperature, that's the more muggy it is, and you see a lot of those close to their air temperature. So just be ready for that smack in the face when you walk out the door, that air you can wear. Today, 91 for an official forecast high. I do expect some folks to get above that temperature, and when you factor in the heat index, it'll feel close to 100 degrees at times. And those, of course, we still have those chances for scattered showers and storms in the heat of the day, something we're going to keep an eye on as well. Rest of the forecast on the way here in just a little bit. Will?
All righty, Brandon, thank you. Well, two separate lawsuits naming Governor Andy Beshear have been filed over orders made during the coronavirus pandemic. One lawsuit was filed in state court on Tuesday to enforce the state to continue offering vote by mail to all eligible voters to ensure a safe election in November. Another was filed in federal court by a group of Northern Kentucky landlords trying to resume evictions. The governor issued an executive order in May suspending evictions due to financial hardships caused by the pandemic. Well, Kentucky State Police Commissioner says an effigy of the governor hanged back in May was not taken down as quickly as he'd liked. The effigy was hung from a tree during a rally on the Capitol grounds. Commissioner Rodney Brewer talked to state lawmakers during a subcommittee meeting yesterday. The Herald Leader covered it. They reported Brewer said they've learned from their mistakes that day and a new security system has been installed at the governor's mansion. Now, for a second day in a row, we recorded the second highest daily total for COVID-19 cases in Kentucky yesterday. With 400 new cases, at least 17,919 Kentuckians have now tested positive for the virus. 6 new deaths were reported, meaning 608 Kentuckians have now died from COVID-19. One of those deaths is a 78-year-old woman from Perry County. Wednesday was just the second time the state has surpassed 400 new cases in a single day. The highest so far is May 5th, when we had 625. Half of those came from mass testing at a state prison. Well, new national research shows that asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic COVID-19 cases are a primary driver of the virus spreading. The study says that carriers without symptoms could be responsible for half of COVID-19 cases. Shelby Smithson explains that what those numbers look like here in Kentucky and what health experts say that means for testing and masks.
The best thing to do is just assume everybody's got COVID.
It's a disease that affects people in so many different ways, from no symptoms at all to the need for a ventilator. And health experts are still finding out new things about the virus.
And even in medicine, what we've learned is that our ability to screen for this at the front door is very limited and very challenging.
Which could be a contributing factor in a new study that says half of COVID-19 cases may be caused by asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic cases. Based on preliminary data from the Lexington-Fayette County Health Department, that number is at about 30% here in Lexington. But the study says it would still take more than 1/3 of those infections to be identified and isolated to suppress a future outbreak. According to the World Health Organization, people who have COVID-19 but remain asymptomatic seem to be the least likely to pass it on. But it's those who are pre-symptomatic, meaning they're in the early stages of the virus before they develop symptoms, have the highest chance of spreading the illness.
But the problem is you don't know until everything's said and done whether you're potentially asymptomatic or just pre-symptomatic. We don't know exactly who is going to develop symptoms, or who is very early, or who actually has very mild symptoms that they're brushing off as allergies.
That's one of the big reasons health experts are pushing the need to wear face masks and get tested, whether you feel sick or not.
And the problem is it kind of limps along for so long in terms of development. You can spread it to a bunch of people before you realize what's going on.
In Lexington, Shelby Smithson, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, to find a testing site near you, you can head on over to kycovid19.ky.gov. Governor Andy Beshear has scheduled a news conference for this afternoon at 4. He says he will announce some mandatory new requirements. We will carry a portion of the news conference live on WYMT, and you can watch it all on our second channel, Heroes and Icons, and on our Facebook. Well, a mandatory mask order is now in effect in Cincinnati. Hamilton County is one of several areas in Ohio that issued the order after a significant increase in new coronavirus cases. The order applies to any public places or outdoors if you cannot social distance by 6 feet. Masks are also required for transportation and ride-sharing services. Children under 10 and those who cannot safely wear a mask are exempt from the order. Well, half the battle against COVID-19 is getting people tested. The other half is figuring out how exactly COVID-19 is spreading. Once a person tests positive for COVID-19, it is up to a team of contact tracers to find who else may have been exposed. The tracers work with the infected person to find out who they recently were close to for at least 10 minutes. Those people then get a call letting them know that they may have been exposed to the virus and should quarantine.
Most people are very understanding and willing to comply with the recommendations.
Lake Cumberland District Health officials say they have been able to contact between 85 and 90% of the people who have been around someone with COVID-19. Most of the contact tracing is done after finding out where people work, go to church, or who their relatives are. Well, Pikeville Medical Center just received a grant for an emergency department expansion, and this expansion is for the kids. The grant from Kentucky Power will fund the emergency department's new pediatrics wing. Dr. John Fleming says this is a big deal for the hospital because it will allow more children to be treated on site in a comfortable space in an emergency situation.
So that they can be isolated from the emergency or from the adult population, make them a little less stressed, have more pediatric friendly rooms, pediatric themed rooms.
Dr. Fleming says this is a step forward for the entire region, making Pikeville Medical Center even more capable of providing for every patient. Well, 3 truckloads filled with toys, toothpaste, clothes, and more was given away in downtown Hazard yesterday, all provided by Save the Children. Normally, these giveaways are at schools and just for students, but this one was a little bit different. WYMT's Lacey Roberts has more.
This was the scene at the picnic shelter Wednesday afternoon.
It's been empty since about 12.
Only an hour after the giveaway was to begin.
Seeing a lot more people need it and want to get whatever resources we have available since COVID's been going on.
People eager, they started an hour early.
Just having it here downtown is a little bit more accessible than having it like at the school.
Kennedy Coots works in Hazard Independent Schools with Save the Children.
We just had so much stuff that we just decided to set up today and give it out to whoever needed it.
Donations given by a program within Save the Children called Gift in Kind, where companies donate their products to be distributed.
Diapers and food. We've had toys delivered to us, clothes, just about Legos, anything you can think of we've had delivered to us.
Knowing this was a blessing to some.
He knew God put him here so he could get some of this stuff. So just hearing stuff like that, it makes it all worth it.
Leaving an empty shelter with happy faces In Hazard, Lacey Roberts, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, donations and gifts also came from Christian Appalachian Project and the Salvation Army.
Fog still thick and dense in some areas this morning with close to zero visibility at Williamsburg, Middlesboro, Jonesville, Harlan down to 2 miles, Prestonsburg now taking a hit there at 1.5 miles, and then down to about 3 at Ashland. So again, it's out there this morning. Be careful of that patchy dense fog we've dealt with all week long. We'll show you some of those cameras here in a little bit. 72 Jackson and Logan, that's our warm spots. 64 in Somerset and 66 in Williamsburg and Jacksboro. There are cooler spots this morning. When you factor in those dew points, nobody's really cool this morning, and several spots on the actual air temperature about 4 to 5 to 6 degrees warmer than they were this time yesterday. Only a couple of spots a couple of degrees cooler than they were this time yesterday. There is a heat advisory out for some folks today. I'll talk about those counties here. Main weather, scattered chances for showers and storms around again in the heat of the day this afternoon. And then tomorrow, the cold front sweeps through, and that's going to cool us off at least a little bit as we head into the weekend. Will?
All righty, Brandon, thank you, and thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Well, coming up, the NASCAR series will come to the Bluegrass State this weekend. We show you what they're doing to make sure it all happens safely.